So we're going to take these chords and we're going to change them around. Now the first step here is to just understand this basic progression. It's very simple. I have just a C to an A minor, to a D minor, to a G. C, A minor, and I could keep the same chords but just change the root, and now this becomes an F to a G. So I have just a basic 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 4, 5 progression. Now, with this progression, you'll notice that I'm not playing super fancy chords here. I'm simply just playing triads, right? Just very simple. Here I have this is a D minor 7th because I have the 7th in there. But it's all pretty much straight up, just pretty simple triadic stuff. So this is the progression that we're going to work off of. Now I'm not going to bother to take questions on this particular chapter because I think that this should be relatively simple. We will roll these questions into this part. All right, now this is where we're going to spend a lot more time because this is our dominant motion. Now, for some of you, you already know what dominant motion is, so bear with me as I explain this for some students that don't know what dominant motion is. Basically, anytime that we have a chord, okay, so we have chord here, chord there, okay? So put a little C in there, chord, chord, okay? Now, typically what happens is we move what? Just directly from that chord right into the next chord. We don't have to do that though, all right? What we could do So what you hear is that now you get a lot more chords in here, okay? And really what I just did is I just took the first two measures here and I just fleshed this out into chords on every beat. One thing I want to make sure that you understand, I said in the previous video, is that you don't have to play these chords just one beat apiece, all right? I just wrote it out like this for brevity to not have measures and measures. You could do this as a 6/8 measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could do something like that. You could do 4. You could do a 2-beat. All right, so you can do something like that. Don't focus on the rhythm right now. Instead, right now, get the concept of this dominant motion down first. All right, so let's talk dominant motion. Now, when we have a chord, we're moving from C to A minor. And, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, you might have a chord that goes an entire measure like this, and you want something in here to, you know, kind of like have some extra harmony going on, some extra chords going on. So we wonder, all right, so what chord can we use that's going to take us to A minor? Well, there is one chord in every key that moves us very nicely to the next chord, okay? And that is our dominant 7th chord, okay? So for a second, let's just talk key. So in the key of C, so the 1 to the 6, so we have 1 and 6, easy, right? And then I added in that dominant motion, so now we have E7, that takes me to 6, and we call this our 5/7 of 6. So it's this. So we have C to A minor. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I put in like A minors like this. I'll keep it the same here, just because I want you to see all different ways of writing chords. You might see that. You might see the minus sign. You might see little m. So let's use that. So I have in here E7. Okay. This we call 5/7, and the slash means of 6. And we do this. We put that arrow. 5/7 of 6. You know, it's funny, I wrote an article on this. Actually, no, it wasn't an article. It was like a YouTube sample, and somebody blasted me on YouTube. It was like, yo, dude, why are you using Roman numerals? It's like, you know, it's so old. Like, you know, get with the times. And, you know, a lot of times I just don't even bother to respond. Actually, I don't even think I responded to this one either. But there is tradition, okay? And in music, there's a certain tradition that we utilize, and that is when analyzing music, we use Roman numerals. Why do we use Roman numerals? To be quite frank with you, I don't really know why. You know, I'm not sure why people use Roman numerals. I have a guess. If I were to postulate as to why I think that we use Roman numerals, because it makes it easy to see major and minor. You know, Roman numerals have an uppercase and a lowercase. So what did I do here? 5, 7, uppercase, 2, oops, sorry. Just do the root instead. So this is the 7th, the root, the 3rd, and the flatted 5th. And then now I go to my E7, but now look at what I did to my E7. I have the roots down here, I have the 3rd and the 7th, and I'm building this rootless chord voicing. There's my flat 13, and there's my sharp 9. And then when I go to the A minor, I just added in that 9th as well. Now listen what happens when I start to like throw a little beat on here with that. Now another little trick I'm going to show you is this. Check this out. See that little chromatic that I do going into the B minor? I can do it on the A as well. Just that double chromatic, I just go down a whole step and I do that quick little chromatic. Those little ghost notes, that's the other stuff that you usually don't have people explaining that to you, because a lot of times I think they just forget about it. You know, they forget that, oh, yeah, I do that. Right? They're not even realizing that they're doing it. So those little ghost notes add a nice little flair to it. I'm going to play it with it and without so you can hear the difference. Hear that difference? Just adds a little more motion. Okay, so now you might say, oh, Willie, that sound, I can't hurt 2 tritones. So there's your tritone, there's your tritone. Okay? Tritone is simply an interval. It's a distance between 2 notes. That's one way of thinking of a tritone. A tritone substitution utilizes that distance, that interval, okay, to find what the substitute chord should be. So basically, when we see tritone substitution, the full sentence is, okay, rather than playing the chord that you're on, go a tritone interval away and instead play that chord. So rather than playing the chord that you're on, rather than playing an E7, find a tritone away from E. All right, how do I find a tritone? Okay, I know it's B flat, okay? So now rather than playing an E, play a B flat, okay? Same kind of chord, still a B flat 7, okay? I'm just changing the root around. Now notice what I'm doing here. This is extremely important. I'm going to play this up here. So take a look at those notes, A flat, C, D, and G, okay? Memorize those notes, and the A minor, okay? Now, take a look at it again, at this one. Look at the notes, A flat, C, D, and G. Exactly the same notes in the right hand. The only thing that changes is the B flat in the left hand. And now where have we heard that before? Like earlier in the lesson, how keeping the chord the same in the right hand, but changing the left hand bass motion. Right? Isn't that cool? Like how we could just simply put the tritone underneath, play exactly the same chord, and now we have a tritone substitution. So